The Mustang Mach E. So is it really a Mustang? That's the question that is on everyone's mind. Everybody's talking about it. So we're gonna look at that. We're gonna get into the early reaction. We're also gonna look at some of the specs and features and kind of get into this car, but we're really gonna hone in on what is this new vehicle and is it really a Mustang? So my name is Eric and I think the Mach E is sort of the Supra right now. If you remember, I've been covering the Supra since the beginning, since it was announced, and early on there were a lot of really negative comments even before the car was officially announced in January of this year. I was doing a bunch of videos and early on the reaction was so negative to the car. We still get a little bit of that right now, but you know, the car was available for sale in July of this year. I got mine in September. And I found personally, I took it to SEMA recently, I've got some videos on that, that when people see the car in real life, they love it. I'm getting people filming video on the freeway. They're taking pictures when I get out of the car. People want to talk to me. The overall reaction in real life is extremely positive, but on the internet, it's super negative. So let's see if we think the Mach E is gonna have the same kind of reaction. So here's the thing, at SEMA, there were about 60 Supras. So by my count, that was probably the most popular single car there, not the single most popular vehicle, but the single most popular car. Now, when we get to the Mustang, let's look at the sales numbers of the Mustang over the entirety of the lifespan of the Mustang, which is 55 years. We're talking about 10 million vehicles produced. That's a lot of Mustangs. Now, what about the Supra? The Supra from 1978 to 2002 had about 593,377. Now, if you tack on the 1,700 or so Supras that Toyota told me have been built so far, we're at about 595,000 Supras. So the Mustang is almost 20 times more popular. There's been almost 20 times more sales. Maybe math isn't quite wrong, maybe like 17, something like that. But you know, way more sales of the Mustang. So there's a lot more, I'm gonna say, fanboys of the Mustang out there than there ever were for the Supra. So how big a problem is the Mach E name for Ford? So it is a four-door SUV. It starts at about $44,000. Ford is saying it's going to be available sometime in 2020, so about a year from now, sort of late 2020. So we're looking at, you know, about 12 months from now for the initial model, the premium edition, to be available for sale. So here's a sketch that Ford has supplied of the current Mach E, the way it looks, which is in black, and then the original concept, which is in green. You can see in the top left corner here, you can see that it looks more like I guess like a Lexus SUV, something along those lines. So what they did to make it more Mustang-like was they raised the hood profile, they lengthened the wheelbase a little bit. You can see in the green, it's a little bit shorter. And they put this this black, I guess, cut line, this rail along the roof to give it more of a Mustang kind of vibe. And they gave it Mustang taillights. There's some other styling cues as well, but they made it a little bit more sporty looking. I think it looks a lot better than the green version. My initial reactions to it are a little bit, I don't know. I'm not like completely sold on it. It looks sort of sporty for an SUV, but it also just does look like a lot of other SUVs. Maybe I'm wrong. It's not really super exciting to me in the styling department, but it is certainly something that we're going to be seeing a lot of. And if you look in the interior of the vehicle, I think the interior actually looks pretty good. It looks pretty premium compared to a lot of other Ford products, even compared to the Mustang. It looks very clean, very simple. The floor is flat, so there's a lot of space for your legs. And it has a front frunk a la Porsche 911, a la Tesla. A lot of electric cars have this front frunk, so it should have a lot of cargo space. And apparently it has a drain plug, so you can just hose it out. And they're talking about even having an insert, which is going to be some sort of, I don't know, some sort of composite plastic that you can turn it into like an ice chest for the summer when you want to take it to the beach. Now, all these things to me scream SUV. They don't say Mustang. A Mustang, the formula has always been 2 doors. and rear-wheel drive. Now this does have rear-wheel drive, it also has all-wheel drive too, so let's talk about the tech specs. There are 5 trim levels according to Ford, starting at the Select level, which is about $44,000. That should be available in early 2021. The Premium is a little bit above that, and the GT is going to be starting at about $60,000, going to be available in spring of 2021. That is the most performance-oriented version. So power and range. So 0 to 60 they're targeting starting at about mid 6-second range, and for the GT they're talking about mid 3-second range. That's actually very, very fast. That's sort of down in the Model 3 territory. That's pretty quick, and quicker than I think any of the currently available Mustangs. So battery capacity starts at 75 kilowatt hours and goes up to 99 kilowatt hours, and a range of 230 miles to 300 miles with the rear-wheel drive and the big battery pack. Now the torque, that gets really interesting. The torque starts at 306 pounds-feet and goes all the way up to 612 pounds-feet in the GT. That is a lot of torque. It's not quite Model S territory torque, but it's certainly pretty high up there. Now the GT is going to be an all-wheel drive only version to get that acceleration. The car will be available in rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive configurations. So horsepower starts at about 255 horsepower or 190 kilowatts, and it goes all the way up to 342 kilowatts or 459 horsepower, which coincidentally is about the same as the current Mustang GT, which in the base configuration makes 460. So what's the target vehicle? Who is Tesla aiming this vehicle at? So I think they're taking a shot across the bow of Tesla. They debuted the car in Hawthorne, which is coincidentally where Tesla is. I think they're taking a shot at the Model Y. So the Model Y is the upcoming Tesla. It is going to be the SUV. It's based on the Model 3. I would expect that the specifications for the Model Y are going to be similar to the Model 3 in terms of the battery pack and capacity and range and all that kind of stuff. We're going to see, obviously Tesla's got a little bit of opportunity, a little bit of time to continue to develop it. They're going to be more nimble than Ford. They're probably going to come out with some better specs in terms of performance and range than the Mach E. Now, in terms of competition, Tesla is clearly way ahead of everybody else in the electric market. One of the reasons, of course, is the supercharger network. You're able to charge your car very quickly. The whole supercharger network integrates with the system, the big screen that you get in the Tesla, and it tells you exactly how far you've got to go left. It's going to tell you where the nearest charging station is. It tells you how many vehicles are there, how long you got to wait, all that kind of good stuff. Ford, on the other hand, has something called the Ford Pass charging network. So that network is an amalgamation of different levels of charging at different locations. For example, there's going to be some at Walmart. There's going to be some, I don't know exactly. It's going to be a whole different amalgamation of networks. You know, what I'm going to imagine is that this Ford app that they're going to have for the charging network, it's going to tell you where to go, but I just can't imagine it's going to be as well integrated as the whole Tesla supercharger network, because they own the network. They've got all the data, all the information. It's kind of like Apple. It's all in their own ecosystem. This is going to be a little bit more like Android, where you have separate charging stations with separate information available from them, and it's not going to be all that accurate, is my guess. So there's all this consternation about the Mustang Mach E. We're going to look at the comments in a second. They're pretty good. But here's the thing. Who is the Mach E targeted for? Is it current Mustang owners, or is it people who are looking for an SUV in the future?
We kind of looked at how consumers use the product with their stuff, whether it's umbrellas or purses or yoga bags, whatever, and thought about how we could reproportion the interior around their lifestyle.
So they're definitely targeting it for people who want to do yoga. Who does yoga? It's probably not people out in the middle of the Midwest. It's going to be people in urban centers. It does look like a fairly upscale vehicle. So I think they're targeting at people who maybe don't like Tesla, who are just sort of getting their feet wet into the EV market. They probably don't have an EV yet. Somebody who has need for cargo capacity. It's not really the same market, I don't think, as the people who are going to buy a Mustang. Remember, a Mustang is a two-door, doesn't have great cargo capacity. It's a performance vehicle, or at least that's the way it's been market it, and I mean, certainly there is a lot of performance in it, but the performance comes in the V8 models and now more in the EcoBoost models. But there's a lot of Mustangs that have been sold that are V6 Mustangs, that are automatics, that are rental cars. There's a lot of Mustangs in the world, and people seem to be getting really, really upset about this Mustang SUV, but how much has Ford already diluted the Mustang brand? When you think about a Mustang, I think about rental cars, I think about not great driving experiences. I've driven a lot of rental Mustangs that are V6s, and they're not really very good cars. The suspension isn't great. They have sort of this aura of cheapness inside. They're not expensive, not really impressive vehicles. These are mass market vehicles designed to sell really to the lowest common denominator for people who just want a Mustang because I guess the name and it looks sporty and so forth, and they're not that expensive. Ford has already diluted the brand hugely. It's not a performance vehicle at all really anymore, except for the GT models and above. Yeah, there's a ton of performance, and I'll just let you know, I am a big Mustang fan. I love the Coyote engine. I like driving Mustangs. I think they're pretty good in the GT and above configurations. I think they're super exciting vehicles. I really like them, but the rest of the lineup leaves me kind of lukewarm, quite frankly. Going back to these comments, let's look at some of these comments right now. Oh, and before we do that, the Mustang 2, that's a Mustang, and that really was not a very good Mustang. People don't really like that car very much. Didn't have a great reception. Not really something that enthusiasts tend to gravitate towards when they think of classic Mustangs. People tend to go back into the 60s. I would actually like this a lot if it wasn't hung up on this Mustang nonsense. This is an electric crossover, not a Mustang. Really nice car, but they never should have called it a Mustang. That was just wrong. This is a Mustang the way the new Supra is a Supra, and there's a whole line of comments below that. At least it's not an electric SUV. You mean BMW, but at least it's still a sports car, so there is a difference here. The Supra still does have the same formula as it always did. Front engine, inline six, rear wheel drive, relatively short wheelbase, definitely a high performance vehicle. This new Mustang is an SUV and it has 4 doors. I actually like the car, just don't like the fact that they called it a Mustang. It's a great idea. They should have simply named it the Mach E. I'm confused. Ford electric SUV called a Mustang. The autopilot is called Mach E Auto, macchiato, kind of like that. So I've been looking at the comments. I've been looking at all kinds of videos. I think that the comments are right now about 90% negative on the name. So this is the internet, this is YouTube, Instagram, and so forth. I want you to tell me down below if you think it should be called a Mustang, and also comment, have you owned a Mustang? Are you a Mustang enthusiast? And why do you not like the name? Or why are you okay with the name Mustang Mach E? Also, another really, really important question, perhaps the most important question of this entire video and the entire year. Can it be called lava if the lava is cold? I just turned on these lamps a minute ago. I forgot to turn them on this morning when they're super cool. Well, they're super cool right now. So is it really lava? I don't know. But if you want to discuss the Mustang, I have a Patreon, which is down below. It's absolutely free. I've got about 650 members right now. Feel free to click on it, go and chat. It's really fun. There's all kinds of different groups in there. It's super cool. I've also got a Patreon, which gives you early access to the videos and discounts on merchandise, which I now do have, and I'm going to be launching that really, really soon. I want to thank my Patreons. Their names are all up on screen right now. Furious Grummel, Squirrel Pope, Real Six, David Bowder, Marlboro Ferrari, and everybody else on screen. I've got a couple of videos up on screen right now. If you want to click on one, that would be super awesome. And if you want to subscribe, that would be cool too. My name is Eric. I will see you at the auto show next.